Autism is one of those things where, depending on who you ask, it could either be a great hindrance or a great curse. Starting up the day of washing myself up, making sure my clothes are clean, the water's boiling, and my coffee keeps me up. I do try to stick to a good routine, especially since this is the first time I'm ever living on my own, 10 hours away from where I'm originally from, Los Angeles. And sticking to a healthy enough breakfast, and trust me, I do use vegetables more often. Just because you see bacon does not mean I don't fit in greens every now and then. But in all honesty, it is great being away from home for the first time ever. I should have tried to seek out a place on my own a while ago, but hey, I had other things to do, and it's Los Angeles. Rent ain't exactly cheap, especially if you want a good place where you're not going to get screen tapped by a bunch of crackheads day in and day out. It's really good thing for me to keep in mind that even though I'm now far away from anyone I know, good friends or close family members, it is good to start in a new environment and start from complete scratch where barely anyone knows you, or hell, no one knows you. So, any connections you made on your own. But on those first Saturdays of the month, I get to see my friends.
Big. I'm turning 28 this year.
My name is Genevieve Santa.
Benjamin Ketters, and I am 25 years old.
Hello there. My name is Daniela King-Singh. I'm 26 years old and I am Mexican American. I am a cisgender heterosexual female.
Awesome. All right, Stoner.
Before anyone asks, in Faustina's wonderful classroom, yes, my last name is Stoner. My first name is Emmett. I am 26.
And are you on the autism spectrum?
Yes, I am.
My background is I have been diagnosed with autism around very young, like 3, I would say.
I first got diagnosed with being on the autism spectrum when I was 2 years old. So it was pretty early.
I was diagnosed at 4.
I was diagnosed with autism when I was 5 years old, but I did not learn I was autistic until I was around 12 years old. And that was completely by accident when I was when I decided to sneak through my mom's mail and I saw a letter from Section 8 talking about how my autism was affecting my school performance, and basically just a chart that talks about my overall growth.
For those of you who want to know my backstory, I was diagnosed with high functioning autism when I was 9. I found out when I was 11.
Where are you from originally? Where were you born? And where were you raised, and where do you live now?
And I live in Pasadena.
I live in West Hills, a little bit away from Humboldt. I know, about 10 hours or something like that.
Let's say 9.
Something, yeah, close.
So initially I was born in Long Beach, California. We've constantly been moving in and out of certain different houses all across LA, which was arguably those were the worst years of my life for me, just lifestyle wise. But for the most part, I basically grew up more actively in Lassen County. You think of local towns like Susanville or Westwood, but but right now I've already got relocated in Susanville. So that's.
I work at Amazon Fresh. It's a grocery store. I mean, I'm sure you're thinking, oh, Amazon, they're not very nice. Well, the warehouses aren't. But the fresh stores, they at least care. And they gave me a chance, and I've been told by several managers there that I'm one of the best employees they have.
And I work at University at Interviewees.
I got hired again as a returning scare actor. I got to work in The Exorcist mix. Hence, I wasn't on the front lines. I was in blackout, in which being a blackout performer is, they don't see you. You're either operating the animatronic scares, the push carts, the puppets. You see a cart being pushed right at you during a scare. Get scared by a push cart prop. That's probably someone like me performing. And in 2022, I got to be a clown from the movie Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And I played Jumbo. If you've seen the movie, according to the history of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, he has the most screen. If you've seen the movie, you'll identify him right away. Then last year, I did a thing. Well, in 2022, before I did Killer Clowns as a scare actor, I decided to join the company as a theme park production assistant. I worked with characters like Scooby-Doo, The Simpsons, The Raptors, and coming up is the 1 year anniversary since we opened Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Hollywood. I got to work with characters like Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, and Toad.
Nice, man. Nice.
Any other questions?
No, that's actually that's pretty awesome, man.
Prep cook.
A prep cook. Okay, and what exactly does the prep cook do?
So I just prep whatever needs to be prepped.
Oh, nice. Like you peel the potatoes and like dice the onions, right? And like all the garnishes and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's great.
Cool. Yeah, don't worry. Like with any of these questions, you could always tell me like if they're too personal or too close to home, and I won't press you any further on that. So anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, don't worry, I won't press you. I'm just wondering, how do you diagnose a 2-year-old with autism like so soon? I mean, they could be doing numerous things. They're just kids.
I don't know. I mean, like, I guess for like the most part for me though, I don't really talk much, even though, I mean, there are like a variety of things that I could be doing as an infant or a toddler.
What do you do now for like your day-to-day routine? Like, do you go to school? Do you work? Or what do you do for fun?
Well, okay, so for now I am going to college for like, studying in studio arts major, and I'm also studying in film minor as well, hoping to, pretty much work my way up into, work as a graphic designer in film, and I'm hoping that once I get there, maybe I would want to do something more.
Okay. And do you remember what age you were diagnosed with autism? You had to like discover that yourself.
Yeah, I did. My mom said, "Oh, I was going to tell you, but I just never got to it."
Wow.
But it just seemed like she was trying to avoid talking about a subject that was a bit like painful for her. My uncle is autistic too.
Okay.
And so, I mean, she was never ashamed of it, but it was hard for her, especially because of how hard his own life was. My uncle's life was.
Right, because I think like back in your uncle's time, and hell, I even have like an uncle who's on the autistic spectrum, and I think my dad is also a little bit on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
They didn't really, I don't think they had the same support system that we do nowadays, where they'll actively try to help you with like one-to-ones, IEPs, if you ever had those in school.
No, my uncle had none of that. No. You see, my mom grew up in Mexico and everything, and they grew up in a really tiny ranch in the mountains and everything. So they didn't have anything. Just like it was just a tiny like rural community. So what happened is that no one understood what my uncle had. They just thought he was dumb like that. So because of that, like his teacher was like really abusive towards him. Like he would just whack his hands over and over and over with a ruler because he thought he was being an idiot, but no one understood. And like a lot of the kids in like the village, like they would just make fun of him mercilessly. My grandparents, they were good people, but they were old fashioned, and they just thought that they were trying to discipline him. They thought he was being difficult. They didn't know what his disability was. But my grandmother, the good news is that she did make amends with my uncle, like, about how she treated him. And because of my mother witnessing all that, it was pretty hard for her to talk about my diagnosis with me. So when I said, "Mom, were you ever going to tell me that? Like, why I was different?" And she just said, "I was, eventually. I was." But, like, even back then, it didn't really seem like she was going to do that.
Okay, so who wants to play a game?
Woo!